Okay, we've got a couple other things to talk about in Unit 1. The next two you've been working with since 3rd or 4th grade. Look at rounding numbers. I can put this number here on the board, 1,836. When I'm rounding numbers, if they ask me to round this to the nearest tens place, I'm going to look at my tens place, which is to 3, it's 30. Now I'm going to look to the next unit to the right. Remember when you're rounding, if it's 0 through 4, I'm going to do what they call rounding down. Instead of 36, it would be 30. That's what they mean by down. But it's not 0 through 4, so I'm not going to round down. It is 5 through 9. I'm going to do what they call round up. So instead, this is closer to 1,840. Because I looked at the 6, the number to the right of the tens. They wanted me to round to the tens place. It's closer, so I'm rounding up. What if they wanted me to round to the nearest thousands? Well, then I'll look at the thousands place. And I'll say, what's the number immediately to the right? It's an 8. That tells me I'm going to round up. This 1 is going to become a 2, and everything else will be 0. You'll notice the farther to the right, the closer to the ones place that you're rounding, the more accurate the number is. This is a lot closer to 1,840 than it would be to 2,000, but they are both correct depending on where you've been asked to round to. Rounding is something that, like I said, you should already know that, but it doesn't hurt to review it real quick. And then everybody's favorite, finding mean, median, mode, and range. So let's look at a list of numbers. Let's say we have 2, 3, 3, 7, 11, 2, 4, 5, and let's go ahead and use a 10. It's out of order, but that's okay. We're trying to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. Okay, when I'm looking at these here, I always save the mean for last because it's got the most work to do, and I don't really want to do that so much. The easiest thing for me to find is usually the mode. There could be more than one mode. In this instance, there's only one mode. It's 3. One easy way to remember mode, I always tell my students that if you think of it as what happens the mode often. Okay, so we're looking at 3. And like I said, if there happen to be 2 7s also, well, I just put a comma and a 7. It's okay to have more than one mode. Next thing, the easiest one to look at is the range. So I'm going to look at the range, my biggest number minus my smallest number, 11 minus 2. That's 9. That's pretty easy. Median, usually it's pretty darn easy, especially if there's an odd number. I purposely put in even numbers so that it'd be more difficult. And all we do to find your median is you put the numbers in order, 2, 3, 3, 7, 10, and 11. Switching the 10 and 11 around is the only thing I had to do. And then it's supposed to be the number in the middle. So if I start looking at this, I say, okay, I'll cross out this one and this one, this one and this one. There's an even number, so it's not real pretty what's in the middle. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to find an average or the mean of these 2 middle numbers. And all we're going to do is we're going to add them up and divide by 2. So 10 divided by 2, 5. So even though it doesn't exist anywhere in our list of numbers, the median is 5. Okay, I can get rid of these so it's not quite as confusing. I always save the mean for last just because it's tedious. It takes the most amount of work of finding any of these. So now all I can do is I can add up these lists of numbers. 2, 3, 3, 7, 11, and 10. I'll add these up. 5, 8, 15, 26, 36. Happened to work out well this time. Now I have to divide by the number of numbers. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 36 divided by 6. It worked out to a whole number this time. Doesn't always work out that pretty. It did this time, so we'll use it. There you go, and that's how you find mean, median, mode, and range. If you need practice with that, again, you can go to the IXL. And then the final thing we're going to cover for Unit 1 is telling time. You might say, oh, I already know how to tell time. Yeah, we all know how to tell time, but it's a little bit confusing when we're talking about either universal time, which much of the world uses, or military time, which our military uses. If I'm looking at 3:15 p.m., well, universal time and military time are on a 24-hour clock. We also have a 24-hour day, but we break it into two 12-hour periods. We have a 12-hour clock. So what you have to understand is that since it's in the afternoon, there's already been 12 hours and then 3 hours and 15 minutes more. So when I add this, 12 hours plus 3:15, it's really in military or universal time considered 15:15. And I don't need a PM because it's understood that this is afternoon. If it would have been, if I'd look at something like 8:30 in the morning, this is the way we're used to seeing it. Not much different in universal or military time, 08:30. And it's just a very simple way to tell. I don't need to put the AM or PM there. And if you ever end up in the military or travel anywhere else around the world, it'll be very handy to understand how this works. How about if I'm looking at something like either my drill sergeant or a host from a different country tells me, oh, dinner is going to be served at 17:45. And I have no idea what time that is. I look at my clock and it says, I don't have a 17 on my watch. Well, I can tell that it's afternoon because it's bigger than 12. So all I have to do is subtract 12 and I find out, oh, 5:45, and since it's bigger than 12, it's the afternoon, it's PM. Okay? It's a little bit tricky getting used to working with that, but I have every confidence that you'll be successful. Just it takes a little bit of practice. No problem there. All right, that's it for Unit 1.